One of the most wild things this year was Dan Crenshaw responded to the unusual Wales Congress report. After supporting individual stock bans, he adds that without trading, you have no way to better yourself as a congressperson. He was the 5th best trader in 2021.
There is one topic that I definitely want to get straight from the horse's mouth on this one. It wasn't very long ago that Nancy Pelosi was asked a question in regards to can sitting members of Congress, or should they be allowed to have direct involvement in the trading in the stock market and things.
Nancy Pelosi's number one, baby. Who do you think? Who do you think is number one? Come on.
Such as that. And she said, yes, it's a capitalist society. She supports that. And there was an article that was just published about yourself. I'm pretty sure you're probably aware of this. It basically talked about, I'd seen some Turning Point people posting about this and said, this is coming from Texas Signal saying Dan Crenshaw's stock trading yielded the 5th highest return in Congress. Basically pointing out that your campaign had received a donation from Boeing. They had lobbied.
Don't you make millions a year? You are the 1%, bro. Dude, I've never. Yes, bro. I know. We are not talking about my financial status as like a wealthy person. I have already recognized that. Actually, half the fucking conversation was about how fortunate I am and how successful I am and how that literally clouds my perspective as I move away from lived experience being a fucking broke person. We're talking about how you make your money, though. And that is a fundamental problem that even self-declared leftists cannot comprehend. They think, oh, you have money and that's it. There are only two ways to make money, okay? You either, I was in like inheritance, I guess. You either make money through capital accumulation, or you make your money work for you, or you make money through wages, okay? You make money through your labor. In my particular circumstance, if I stop streaming, I would have to take the money that I have earned already, okay, and put it in the stock market and become a capital accumulator. You are a highly paid contract worker. You are the top echelons of the gig economy. That doesn't make you a capitalist, and most people don't have the material relational analysis of your mode of production to recognize that. Yes, which is why I spend a lot of time trying to describe it to them, but it doesn't matter. Anyway, I hope you understand it, though. I try to do my very best to describe it to people, but...
things such as that. Where do you stand on the twofold question? Do you believe that sitting members of Congress should be allowed to trade in the stock market, even though you kind of have direct insight and somewhat control over how that flow goes and which government-favored corporations? You get where I'm going.
If you stop streaming, how come you wouldn't lower your cost of living with your already accumulated wealth instead of getting into the stock market? Wait, what? Why did you just assume that I wouldn't do that as well? If I stop streaming, of course I would do that. But you understand that, like, you know, money runs out, right? Like,
let's start with that one first. Where do you stand on that?
I mean, I think it'd be fine if you wanted to ban individual stock trading. Mm-hmm. Notice I said individual stocks.
Right.
What of course,
as opposed to what?
As opposed to ETFs, indexes. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm kind of neutral on it. Like, if you want only millionaires and billionaires to run for Congress, then keep making sure that we can't raise our pay, that we can't get a housing stipend, that we have to just spend or pay rent in 2 different places. Mm-hmm. That's fine. If you want to.
It's fucking so crazy that when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez talks about how difficult it is for her to maintain like rent for 2 fucking places, like, everyone shits on her. But when Dan Crenshaw's talking about it, it's like, oh yeah, well, that's why he has to do stock trading. Guys, you don't understand. He has to do that.
If that's what you want to support, but just keep in mind that no one will run for Congress. Mm-hmm. Because you have no way to better yourself.
It's so funny, dude. It's like, dude, have you thought about, like, I don't know, making it so that, like, your individual material conditions as someone who is in Congress are more manageable, and therefore others' material conditions will be more manageable too? Because, like, you're still getting a pretty solid paycheck, and on top of that, you get insane benefits that, like, the average worker can't even fucking comprehend. And it's so interesting that, like, his only way of looking at this structure, his only way of saying, like, well, you know, rent's really fucking high, is not, let's do something about it as, like, as a congressperson, which would then, you know, help others in worse circumstances than him as well, which is also, like, literally a part of his goddamn job. But instead to, you know, individually make more money. That's awesome. Lahmacun koymamışlar orospu çocukları, kafayı yiyeceğim ha. Lahana sarması ne abi? 3'e koymuşlar ya sarmayı. Manyak mı lan bunlar?